when they found out that we can not only reduce their emissions, but we also can reduce the footprint of heating and cooling, it really got them excited. And so we didn't see local law 97 coming, and here it is. And we're definitely the hot ticket in town.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us here once again at smallcapvoice.com, where we shine a spotlight on some of the smartest and freshest plays out there in the market today. And part of today's online business briefing is a continuing series that we've been bringing you about an exciting company out of Southern California with operations globally, and that's Dalrada Financial Corporation. The company's traded on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol DFCO. And in our previous interviews, you've already been able to meet the CEO and the CFO of Dalrada, as well as the CEO of Genefic, a wholly owned subsidiary of the company. And today, we're going to meet with Mr. Charles Vest. He is the National Sales Manager of DCT, that's Dalrada Climate Technologies, also a wholly owned subsidiary of Dalrada Financial Corp. With that, let's welcome Charles to the show. Charles, hey, thanks so much for making time and welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor to be the fourth up to bat with Dalrada, so I feel very honored.
All right, so you are the cleanup hitter. I like that too.
Yes.
Fourth in the lineup, that means you're the big swinger. So look, we met you via social media. You were in New York City, but before we get to really all of that and what you were doing there, because there's been a lot on social media for us to dive into regarding what's happening in New York City. If you would, let's start with a little bit about you and your background. What brought you here to DCT, and what are you doing now? So let's start off with who you are, Charles.
Well, who I am is a veteran sales person that has about 30 years of sales experience under my belt. I came to Dalrada via their need to have someone that had more of an eclectic ability to address different types of niches. And as you know, Dalrada has a lot of different corporations, and I was a good fit for helping out in a lot of divisions. Recently, about 3 years ago, they launched the COVID division, which was a sanitization division, and they asked me to head that up. And that's kind of what launched what we have here today in the heat pump division. It's kind of hard to see how those tie together, but back then we needed something to help out with the keeping of vaccinations at a low temperature. And so we developed a cryo unit with the same technology that we use now today, and that led to where we are now.
Well, very good. So obviously you're well versed with the company, and you talked about your eclectic background. I'll tell you what, something I learned, viewers and listeners, before this, just over the shoulder of Charles, is one of his paintings. And it's, as you told me, Charles, your paintings are throughout the floor there at Dalrada there in Southern California.
Yes, they are. Shameless plug. Yes, I'm an artist part-time, and Brian, the owner, liked my art so much, he said, why don't you display it all around our company? And so it's also an honor to have my art displayed here too.
Well, that's what we're all about here, is shameless plugs. Speaking of shameless plugs, we caught you on the street of New York City on a recent visit. And, you know, as a company that's working with Dalrada, Small Cap Voice knows a lot more now about Local Law 97. So I'm assuming that's why you were in New York City. But let's talk a little bit about your recent trip to New York and some of the feedback that you've gotten.
Well, I've made multiple trips to New York. It was a pleasant surprise to me to find the demand that is happening out there with the onset of Local Law 97. And so this last visit, I thought, why not share a little bit about what's going on social media? I didn't think that so many eyes would see that, but in New York, we had meetings with very large corporations that are interested in not only reducing their greenhouse gas emissions, you know, the carbon emissions, but they also want to, real estate is a very important aspect of cost out there in New York. And when they found out that we can not only reduce their emissions, but we also can reduce the footprint of heating and cooling, it really got them excited. And so we didn't see Local Law 97 coming, and here it is. And we're definitely the hot ticket in town. Local Law 97 simply just states that by 2025, actually May of 2025, all large businesses, commercial and industrial, need to have a 30% reduction in carbon emissions, at least a plan, and it has to begin implementation next year. And so that also leads into by 2030 to have an additional 40% of reduction in greenhouse gas. And so they've been looking for a solution, and it turns out that since we've been working on this for many years, our solution is the de facto sought out solution for their needs. And if they don't show that they have this ability to and a plan to actually reduce emissions, they're going to be fined. And so that was a surprise to us, a very pleasant surprise, because we've been working on this for a couple of years now. And so because of our marketing department, they've was able to see what we have going on here in the Southwest, and off where we go to New York City to help them out. There's literally thousands and thousands of businesses that are looking for our solution.
That's excellent news for the existing investors and for the potential investors who may not actually understand how the heat pump works. And we won't go too far in the weeds, but Brian came on recently and said, hey, we're one of the only solutions to provide heating and cooling. So tell me about the operational aspect of the heat pumps that come into play here, because it's not just New York City. We're going to touch on a post about New England. So the Northeast is really seems to be the harbinger of what's to come here in this market for your company. But let's talk about the operational aspects of the heat pumps.
Well, operationally, the heat pump does simultaneous heating and cooling of air and water. So that's 4 different aspects of that's needed in these boiler rooms. And currently, what's happening is a typical large commercial building, hotel, hospital, whatever, will have a large array of boilers for heating the water, and then a large array of chillers for cooling the water. Two different machines to do those things. And then there's be HVAC, for their air conditioning and heating. So those are 4 different separate entities that are happening, 4 different types of machinery that's happening in a normal commercial building. Our unit takes all 4 of those and condenses them into a small, compact, very highly efficient unit that gets to the temperatures that they need for heating and the low temperatures needed for cooling. We've been doing this in Europe for a while now, and so that's operationally in a nutshell what we do for companies. And we also decided to create a test bed scenario in Las Vegas where I have private tours, actually, because most of the engineers out there, I don't want to make this too technical, but most of the engineers out there don't believe that it's possible to do all 4 things in one machine. And so we had to do proof of concept and show that it actually can happen. We have a working unit in Las Vegas, multiple units that we test and bring folks in to see it actually working live. So it's a technology that people can actually see, touch, feel, and appreciate here in the Southwest. And soon we're going to build another facility like that on the East Coast as well.
Well, I think that's a great idea because, again, I pointed this out, and I'm going to give this, you can go to the DFCO X page, their LinkedIn page, any of their social handles, which are available by pulling up a news release. You do that with that ticker symbol DFCO. New England's $450 million grant boosts heat pump adoption, and DFCO is leading the charge with the New England Heat Pump Accelerator. DFCO is making eco-friendly, accessible, and efficient for all. That was out earlier this week on your social media, but it's an article that we all saw come across our radars last week. Again, we're as the kids would say, we're feeling the vibes, right? We're feeling the vibes of this is really a groundswell movement picking up steam there in the Northeast. What other states, if you can talk to this, Charles, how do you feel about the rest of the company and country, and their adoption of this?
How about one word, wow. It's been a crazy ride over the last 6 months, and it's only getting busier. New York is just one of the first cities to reach out because of their need for a solution. But it turns out that of the 50 largest cities in the United States, 35 of them, actually 37 of them, have similar compliance and regulations and ordinances on the books. It just so happens that New York and California are the first to adopt that type of fining folks for actually having carbon emissions. It's not a threat. They actually are writing tickets for carbon emissions, and that's a scary thing for many companies. And so it's something that is happening in New Jersey, and also we've been in very large discussions with other areas of North America, Mexico, Canada. Everybody's jumping on the greenhouse gas emissions wagon, and to be able to save money while saving the planet, that's a pretty cool initiative to be part of, and it's very exciting for me.
Yeah, I love that. So it's not only an investment that's good for your portfolio. I always like to say, if you're involved in something like this, it's an investment that's good for not only your soul, but our environment and future generations. And that makes it a win-win-win. So in terms of what you're doing for the company, and once again, viewers, we're speaking with Charles Vest. He is the National Sales Manager for DCT. That stands for Dalrada Climate Technologies, a wholly owned subsidiary of Dalrada Financial Corp, who's traded again on the OTCQB under the ticker symbol DFCO. In terms of what you're doing for the company in sales and operations, we both had that wow moment when you told me 35 other states coming on, that they're actually cutting tickets in New York and California. There's a lot of wow moments, but I'm going to ask you for any more. Do you have any more that you want to share with us here? What's got you excited in your area for 2024 and beyond?
Well, it's hard to be more excited than I am right now. Or tired, more tired than I am right now. That's not an easy flight from San Diego to New York 3 times a month, but definitely worth it. I was thinking about why is it so excited, right? Why are there so many folks excited about being able to provide this type of technology and have this solution? And I don't know if this analogy that I came up with today makes sense, but I thought it was kind of interesting. You remember back in 1848, 1849, what was the most exciting thing happening in the United States at that time?
I don't.
That was the gold rush.
Okay.
And during the gold rush, it only lasted about 8 years, but during the gold rush, everyone came out to California in search of gold. And what's interesting is that if you look at history, it was not the gold miners that made the money during that time. It was the guy selling picks and shovels. And so we sell the tools that are needed for this reduction in carbon and also other solutions that, for sustainability. And so being the provider of the picks and shovels of the greenhouse gas emissions world, that's what we're doing for folks here in the United States and all around the world. And so that's my analogy. That's why I'm so excited. I'm not trying to be the solution to every company out there, but there are just thousands and thousands of companies out there that are looking for this type of solution. And it's just our job to get in front of them.
Well, that's our job as small and micro cap investors in companies like ours that try to shine a spotlight on the ones that, even if they take the crumbs off of the table, it's substantial for a huge return on investment, not only for your company, but for us as investors. This is just our first interview with you, Charles. We know that you've got a big expo there in Los Angeles area coming up at the end of August. We just learned about that yesterday. So we're at Small Cap Voice going to send out one of our team members to basically stalk you around that, and he'll only be there for a day. But we just love your energy, Charles. We love the interview today. Thanks so much for making time for us here today at Small Cap Voice.
It's been an honor for me. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to being stalked. I'll be a celebrity on the floor in the Builders Expo.
All right, for fledgling, burgeoning artist, as well as the National Sales Manager for DCT, Charles Vest. This is Stuart Smith saying thanks so much for tuning in, and be sure to add DFCO to your watch list, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, give us your comments. Thanks.